The three biggest attempts on Call of Duty's life happened in 2011, 2014, and 2024. One of these stories could actually get me sued, so let's hope and pray I don't. COD is regarded as the unkillable franchise, but that didn't stop these brave games from taking shots at the throne. We'll be looking at these historical attempts, their sinister game plans, how COD defended the throne, and the destruction left behind as the dust settled. Coming off a billion-dollar title in 2010 with Black Ops 1, it was clear that Call of Duty had the gaming community starstruck. As Call of Duty entered its down season, which is usually from April to November every year, it gave new games a chance to enter the ring while the COD hype died down. Now, alongside the console wars, the second biggest rivalry was Call of Duty vs Battlefield, and Battlefield knew exactly when to release their game, right as COD enters its down season, hoping to siphon players looking for a new game. In 2008, it was COD 4 vs Battlefield Bad Company. COD 4 had double the sales. In 2010, it was Black Ops vs Battlefield Bad Company 2. To be fair, Black Ops wiped the floor with any game that released that year. But in early 2011, we were ready to see the next Battlefield release, ready to take on Call of Duty's Modern Warfare 3 releasing at the end of 2011. But we didn't hear anything until the first of many trailers announcing their attack against Call of Duty. Fall 2011, Battlefield 3 decided to go head-to-head with the King and have release dates only 2 weeks apart. How did they do? What was their plan? And who won?
And that was a huge challenge for us.
Are you slightly nervous at all?
But it's unique.
The best game coming out this fall.
We have something that is quite different.
Can't leave anything on the table.
Battlefield's slogan leading up to their release in fall was "Go above and beyond the call," a direct threat to Call of Duty's Modern Warfare 3. But how big was the threat? Battlefield's main selling points were freedom, realism, and a sense of grandeur. Every trailer showcased massive destruction, beautiful graphics, and smooth animations, directly attacking Call of Duty's static maps, preset lanes, and old movement engines. Battlefield wanted to convert COD players into Battlefield players by selling them the epicness of full-scale war. 32 vs 32 multiplayer on huge maps, jets, and even tanks. Not to mention a marketing masterclass that ran leading up to release, trickling gameplay footage in parts throughout the summer, having playtests for fans, showing up on Jimmy Fallon as well. So how did they do? Battlefield 3 became DICE's most successful game, selling over 15 million copies. But did Call of Duty just sit there and do nothing? Basically, let me explain. Call of Duty had a godlike formula, starting in COD 4 and every title after leading into 2011 had it, so it would be stupid to try something completely new.
You know, if it's not broken, we don't really fix it.
They even doubled down on COD's traits of camaraderie and fun, with an iconic trailer with Jonah Hill and the guy from Avatar, with their slogan being, "There's a soldier in all of us," pushing the fact that anybody can pick up and play. And everybody did pick up and play because MW3 sold a whopping 30 million copies. But that didn't mean BF3 was a flop. Quite the opposite, actually. As both games launched, the satisfaction from players on both sides were increasing. Battlefield was still in the fight, and COD couldn't dismiss them just yet. The entire community regarded DICE as the innovators of gaming and were excited for the next release. The passion and success behind Battlefield 3 ignited a new flame under DICE and EA, a flame that may have just burned down any chance Battlefield had of winning this fight. Because you see, Battlefield had to live up to the title of innovators of gaming. Their next launch was Battlefield 4. It had a rough launch, plagued with bugs, pay-to-win items, and seemed like a cash grab from EA.
Battlefield 4, you done f***ed it up!
Black Ops 2 released around the same time and crushed every game that year. Next, Battlefield attempted to compete with Call of Duty's yearly release cycle by bringing in more studios, like how Call of Duty has Treyarch, Infinity Ward, and many more, which didn't work out either with their release of Battlefield Hardline. Battlefield was just doing too much and trying to live up to their former title of innovators instead of looking to the community for answers. Release after release, it seemed Battlefield was chasing that initial success they saw with Battlefield 3, but they just couldn't do it. Now, during that time, Call of Duty was raking in the cash, players, and building their brand, paying little to no attention to what was once a legitimate threat, because to them, it looked like Battlefield was just killing itself. Today, Battlefield fans consider the franchise on life support or already dead. Call of Duty had officially buried Battlefield. Now, this seemed like an easy victory for COD, and it was. But what happens when the two people that put COD on the map start their own company in an attempt to dethrone their own creation? And that's exactly what happened in 2014. This is Vince Zampella and Jason West, who have one of the craziest stories in all of gaming. They were two of the three people that founded the gaming studio Infinity Ward, which was bought by Activision. IW was a dream team of loyal developers and visionaries with a passion for gaming, responsible for leading the creation of some of the most influential video games of all time, Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare and Modern Warfare 2. But the thing was, IW didn't own the rights to Call of Duty, the game they put blood, sweat, and tears into. Activision did, since they owned Infinity Ward. Vince and Jason realized they just created a multi-billion-dollar franchise for someone else, so they hatched a plan to get out and try to build a game that would rival their own creation. Activision knew Vince and Jason wanted out, but 2 people out of 100 employees at IW leaving shouldn't be a big deal, right? But Activision realized how loyal the other developers were to their founding leaders. Losing them would throw a wrench in the production of MW3 and cost hundreds of millions if it didn't release on time. In an effort to convince the remaining devs to stay, Activision offered a whopping 50% salary increase, but also pulled one of the most deceiving plays the gaming community has ever seen. The devs were owed bonuses from the massive success of their previous title, MW2. The bonus pool totaling around $36 million, which they were told would be paid out only after they create MW3, essentially holding their money hostage. This whole situation was happening in 2010, a year before MW3. As you know from the last section, Call of Duty was also facing the pressures from Battlefield. Call of Duty was getting hit from the outside and inside. After a bunch of lawsuits, Vince and Jason left, taking 40 loyal developers with them to start a new gaming studio. Regardless, it seemed that Call of Duty was too big to fail since MW3 did numbers, selling over 30 million copies. COD has officially become a titan. But good thing Vince and Jason's new game was called Titanfall. Titanfall was announced mid-2013 at E3 by Respawn Entertainment, which was led by Jason and Vince. They wanted to bring a new approach to the FPS genre and shake up the industry COD had a chokehold on. Their plan had to be perfect to take down a household name like Call of Duty. The release date also had to be perfect with such an experimental title. With Call of Duty entering its low season in April, Titanfall decided to release just a few weeks before. As Titanfall approached their perfectly timed release, trailer after trailer dropped, which skyrocketed hype for the game. While running, futuristic weapons, and beautiful maps, which put Call of Duty in a position they've never been in. The Titanfall team knew the exact type of marketing needed to compete with Call of Duty, since Jason and Vince had literal experience marketing COD. While Respawn didn't have the promotional budget to bring in massive names like RDJ and Kobe, they still had fun with the real-life Titan ad, which was pretty cool to see. The idea of a soldier and a mech, or what the game called a Titan, was a novel concept, and if executed correctly, would send a shiver down COD's spine. But COD swung right back with something new of their own. They dropped gameplay footage of their new title, Advanced Warfare, 2 months after Titanfall released, the first futuristic title from Call of Duty, and the first time we've seen COD imitate another game. Jetpacks, energy weapons, and a universe similar to Titanfall. Jason and Vince's power was being felt in the COD camp. It was the battle of the futuristic FPS games. Titanfall sold a staggering 10 million copies, and fans were raving about the game. For an Xbox exclusive, that's pretty good. Respawn Entertainment was able to create one of the smoothest feeling movement engines we've ever seen. Whether you were wall running, double jumping, or piloting a Titan, everything felt effortless. The story, lore, and universe they built for Titanfall was also on par with the MW universe and even Black Ops. Now, Advanced Warfare did sell 21 million copies, so it's not like COD died. Since Call of Duty built such an impressive track record at this time, everybody bought the game out of habit. However, the profits might have gone to COD, but the hearts were won by Titanfall. And the community dubbed Titanfall as the first ever COD killer. Call of Duty officially had a rival. And when Titanfall 2 released 2 years later in 2016, COD was back in the hot seat. but a fatal error by Respawn Entertainment and EA might have costed them everything. You see, instead of releasing the game during COD's low season like they did with Titanfall 1, they pushed it to holiday season, hoping to get more sales due to the brand of Titanfall 1. But Call of Duty's Infinite Warfare and Battlefield 1 was also releasing at the same time, forcing consumers to choose between 3 FPS franchises. So how did they do? Infinite Warfare sold 13 million copies, Battlefield 1 sold 21 million copies, and Titanfall 2 sold a measly 4 million copies. However, profits might have gone to the bigger franchises, but Titanfall 2 won the hearts of their fans once again, creating a better game than Infinite Warfare and BF1 combined. An incredible campaign, polished multiplayer, and an addicting gameplay loop. Titanfall 1 and Titanfall 2 were daggers put right through COD's heart. So did Titanfall 3 bury Call of Duty? Well, they never made one, for a very good reason. You see, Respawn Entertainment couldn't come up with a way to top Titanfall 2, and didn't want to fatigue the fans with the same game over and over again. A testament to the respect Jason and Vince have for their fans. So they decided to bury the title themselves and move resources to a project that would soon become another pain for COD. That's a video for another time. So Call of Duty has buried 2 massive titles and still reigns supreme as the go-to shooter. But sometimes when you rule for so long, you tend to let your guard down. And that's exactly what happened in 2024, which was the perfect opportunity for another ex-COD employee to take their shot. We have to go back just a bit to 2022 to understand this whole situation. You see, COD released a title so tone-deaf and abysmal that the entire Call of Duty fanbase rioted. It was MW2 2022. The clunkiest movement we've ever seen, boring multiplayer, and the only good part about this game was DMZ, which was an extraction game mode. Player counts were so low and everybody was looking for something else to play. Enter Mark Rubin. Mark worked on some massive COD titles like COD 4 and the OG MW2. So when everybody found out he was dropping a game with Ubisoft, the hype train started. His new game was called X-Defiant and it was free to play. Apparently this game was in development since 2021, but not many people knew about it, so releasing it when COD was at its lowest point for free was perfect timing. But it wasn't that simple. Their first real trailer dropped in April 2023, just as everyone stopped playing MW2, and the hype was insane, immediately being dubbed the COD killer because it removed something plaguing modern COD titles: skill-based matchmaking. For those of you that don't know what that is, it's basically a system that tries to make every lobby fair by putting you into games with similar skilled players, which meant you were always trying as hard as possible all the time. A beta was available just days after the trailer, and they were ready to launch in early July to catch everyone during the summer. A perfect plan if you ask me. Everybody enjoyed the beta and was genuinely excited to play a new game that corrected all of Call of Duty's mistakes. Call of Duty's response? Not a peep. Now July rolled around and X-Defiant didn't release. August hit and still no X-Defiant. Something was up. Just as we've given up hope in COD, they drop a trailer teasing MW3 in early August. September hit. Still no word from X-Defiant. October hit and still no X-Defiant. Then finally, November 10th hit and Modern Warfare 3 released. The fans that were rioting against Call of Duty a year prior returned to play the title because it actually wasn't terrible. How could X-Defiant miss such an incredible opportunity to siphon players from the biggest FPS franchise in the world? Apparently, there were a lot of bugs and licensing issues which delayed the game all the way to May of 2024. And it was a simple case of too little, too late. So much so that according to reports, X-Defiant is getting shut down after only a couple months. I truly wonder what would have happened if X-Defiant released when it was supposed to. Guess we'll never know. So what did we all learn from this video? Call of Duty will most likely never be killed. It survived the innovators of gaming, a title developed by the same people that made COD popular, and even survived all their fans leaving for a year. What do you think? Will Call of Duty ever die?
Bravo 6. Going dark.